Please keep in mind, I'm not doing this to gloat in any way. The goal of this video is to force me to analyze my own work so I can help people, including myself, improve. What is the best level I've ever designed? Over the years, I've designed countless stages in Mario games. I've used multiple different mediums: Mario Maker, NSMBW modding, and as of recently, Super Mario World modding. I've made plenty of stages that never saw the light of day as well, for obvious reasons. But today I'd like to focus on the good. Today I will be talking about what I believe is the best Mario level I've ever made and analyze why I believe it to be my best. So with that all out of the way, let's begin. I believe the best level I've ever made is Western Gate. This level is the first stage in the hidden world of Super Mario Universe. It's also probably not anybody's first pick if they've played this game. And in reality, that's understandable. The level is extremely forgettable from a visual standpoint, and the mechanics of the stage aren't groundbreaking compared to what comes later. But I believe this stage contains some of my best ideas. The level starts out, just like every level should, with an introduction of the main mechanic. In this case, the gimmick is these winged floating rope thingies. This area tempts you with coins that are only obtainable by climbing these ropes. By the time you're able to grab all the coins, you will have a solid idea of the rope's movement. This platform below the rope acts as a safety net. Since this area is only meant to teach you the mechanic, it's important to make sure death from the player is unlikely here. Next, the player is shown the secondary mechanic of the stage, these expanding bridges. These platforms are common in the stages I design, so by this point they don't need too much of an introduction to the player. Despite this, I force one safe interaction with them in order to obtain the power-up. This simply ensures that the player has knowledge of every mechanic, so that when they're built upon, it doesn't feel unfair. Next, we have our first variation on the established theme, with flying ropes that move left to right. This also ups the stakes, with munchers above and below the rope. This will scare a novice player into moving up and down on the rope, counteracting the motion of it. This is a subtle teaching moment that not everyone will pick up on, but it's there. From here, the two mechanics are combined. A timed jump from an expanding bridge is followed by a jump onto a flying rope. A Yoshi coin is placed near the trough of the rope's movement, which rewards an observant player for following the rope down. The platform also acts as another safety net. Since the level is still early, I didn't want to be too punishing just yet. So if the player misses the rope, they will likely keep their trajectory and fall onto this platform. Next, the bridge mechanic is reversed. Instead of the player timing when to touch the bridges, now they're timing when to avoid the bridges so as to not get pushed into the munchers above. Here, yet another spin is put on the bridge mechanic. This time, the player is forced to make a jump onto the contracted side of the bridge to cross this gap. Since this is a significantly stricter maneuver, munchers are placed below to keep a mistimed jump from being an insta-kill. We then move on to the final test of mastery before the checkpoint. Another horizontal flying rope forces the player to jump off of it and back on before it turns around. This might be one of the hardest tricks this level pulls, which makes the following checkpoints all the more rewarding. The second half of the stage is an auto-scroller. I know auto-scrollers have a negative connotation in the gaming world, and I mostly agree with them. Hindering the player's ability to scroll the camera can lead to frustration and/or boredom. Lack of control is never something one wants to feel when playing a game. It's unnatural and awkward. With that said, auto-scrollers can be a very satisfying tool from a design standpoint when used properly. They give the designer complete control over every event that happens on screen, allowing for sequences that are impossible without the locked camera. Here, I would like to show how I made an auto-scroller that actually works to the level's benefit rather than its hindrance. The screen scroll allows for yet another variation on the level's main gimmick that wouldn't be possible otherwise. Now, the ropes fall without returning. Without autoscroll, this mechanic would feel cheap because it punishes a slow player without any indication that they need to be quick enough to catch their ride. With an autoscroller, however, I have exact control over when the rope spawns in. Since the player knows that the screen is scrolling fast, it is made immediately clear that they need to catch their ride at that moment. After a couple of simple rope jumps, the player is forced to make slightly more precise jumps to counteract the longer and more risky jumps from before. Interspersing moments like these into auto-scrollers can keep the stage from feeling too monotonous. Then, an evolution of the rope mechanic is presented, when two of them fall without ground between them. This is followed by a short resting area to let the player regain their bearings. It is important to have moments like these after tough challenges and levels to keep the player from feeling overwhelmed. When a player feels overwhelmed, they begin to feel like the design is unfair. Then, the bridges are reintroduced. This time, a Yoshi coin is rewarded for a mastery in the timing of these platforms. If a player has a good enough idea of when the platforms will rise, they can jump at the coin in time for it to rise and save them from the munchers below. One more bridge timing challenge builds off of the collapsed idea. The player is forced to run over the collapsed side of the bridge, as indicated by the munchers above. A Yoshi coin is rewarded if they pick up on this idea fast enough, since the screen will scroll past if the reaction time is slow. Again, this is another idea that's impossible without the use of auto-scroll. One more rope jump later and the level's over. Overall, I believe this stage represents the best of my work, because almost every tile was meticulously placed with the purpose of creating a satisfying progression. I look to analyze a stage like this because I know that it will help me to better my future projects. This type of design is what I strive for in every level I create, with varying degrees of success. When Super Mario Starlight comes out, I hope to have a new best level to analyze once more.